Hello, my name is Kristen Kleinschmidt. It is the end of Spring 1, 2022 in February for UMass Global internship program, reviewing the competencies, all 9 of them, starting with competency number 1, ethical and professional behavior. The student has demonstrated this through their work this semester, working with a wide variety of students and now their intake of new students for the coming term. So I am working with several different schools and interviewing people that will potentially be on my new caseload. And of those, one of them is a young person who in high school is legally married to somebody in the military. Providing those services to somebody making ethical decisions by applying the standards for social workers, using technology and regulating the models for ethical decisions. So we have had to review how we're able to service several different students, how we can gather information on the students, whether it's their IEP or psych report, and their application. We have been able to manage professional boundaries by the use of Zoom or in the classroom, spacing out the desks to provide some extra space as we end getting out of the COVID period. Demonstrate professional use of self, exhibits the professional attitude and positive outlook. So every one of the students have some form of disability, and we're using the strengths perspective to show not what they can't do, but what they can do. So some of my students are deaf, and right now we're evaluating what they're going to be able to do going forward when they graduate high school. One student wants to become a pharmacist, and that student has completed higher levels of math and science and qualified to be able to go to Gallaudet University. So we're working on providing those services for that student. And that they identify professional strengths and limitations and challenges. So we're able to identify the different students' strengths and their challenges and what they can do, what they can't do, and trying to bridge that gap so that the students that I work with are able to be successful. Competency number 2, engage in diversity and differences in practice. My clients have a wide range of diversity. I work with low socioeconomic students in the desert, many of them who don't have an extra set of good clothes for interviews. So I work with local vendors to be able to provide outfits for the students in the Coachella Valley so they are able to go and dress nice for a job interview and become gainfully employed. As well as working with students that have a Hispanic background. I work to make sure that I have an interpreter. I have interpreters that know sign language and Spanish, so they're able to interpret what their student is assigning and translate it into Spanish for their parents. Demonstrates advanced insight into personal biases and values of the influence of the client and social worker. I have worked diligently to try to learn the different values and how I can help that student. I need to know what's important to them. In the case of my student who is married in high school and her husband's in the Army, learning what that student needs since they are estranged from their parent. Analyzing forms of oppression and discrimination. The one student, like I just mentioned, that is married, does face some oppression from being estranged from their biological family. The competencies in advanced human rights demonstrates the respect for all clients. I've had one client that had assaulted their child and went to jail, and they were a predator. They were assigned to my case, and we had to review their case and try to find how we could provide services. Since they were a sex offender, we had to locate where I could meet them because my office is at a school. They were not allowed to meet me at my school or any school or the park or Starbucks. So we had to find a place. We found Department of Rehabilitation was able to provide us with a room and a supervisor that would stop by. We had contact with the parole officer on a regular basis and had to be professional and work with this person because they had a disability, and their disability was deafness, and I'm the only person in my site that knows American Sign Language. So they still had their rights as a person for no longer being in prison to be able to get a job. However, we had to work together. There was a lot of environmental injustices to the victim, to potentially other victims. So we had to make sure that we kept the client protected as well as other people protected. And then I mentioned to my employer that this is a conflict of interest. Why it was a conflict of interest: we represent schools and children. So they removed this person from my caseload, but we followed the case through because they were able to get a different vendor. So we made sure that a different vendor picked up the case and any job leads were provided to the new vendor, as well as to the client. So that advocates for the clients who are unable to advocate for themselves, most certainly. This person was not very equipped or capable of advocating for themselves because of their criminal record. Competency number 4, engage in practice-informed research and research-informed practice. So working with the previous client, we had to see what was our practice, what we were able to do, what we weren't able to do, who we could work with, what other agencies we could work with. So we had to look at the federal laws and the local laws and look at who could represent a sex predator. And again, had a lot of signed consent forms with the parole officer, with Department of Rehab, with the potential employers. Advocate for social policies and agency policies that will enhance all client well-being. So to advocate for the social policies, we advocated that this person find somebody else. Working with other students now, we have to advocate for their needs. So we're now working with not only the State Department of Rehabilitation, but also local colleges, local training centers, Job Corps as one of our training centers. We have several young girls that want to go into beauty, and so we're working with the different beauty colleges to be able to provide services for students with disabilities, to be able to get the trainings outside of high school so they're able to become gainfully employed. Competency number 6, engage with individuals, families, groups, and organizations. So my student who is married to a person in the military, we are engaging with the different organizations in town that work with military families, spousal support for a military member who is away, and again, Department of Rehab, the school, what areas that she wants to go to school after high school, what training she wants, and what community partners or community groups that this young person can join to give her supports because her husband is in the service and it is a dangerous time right now. So we're working to make sure that this young lady is able to finish high school and gets the support she needs since she's estranged from her biological family. Competency 7, assess individuals, families, groups, and organizations and communities. So first we assessed the individual and got them engaged, and now this competency is to assess that individual. So we look at the different organizations and how popular are they? Are they having positive outcomes? How close are they to her home? Does she need transportation? How are they meeting? Are they meeting via Zoom still or in person? So we're looking at all avenues to make sure that our clients are able to get the resources that they need in a timely manner. Competency number 8, intervene with individuals, families, groups, and organizations. So it's to critically evaluate and select and apply evidence-based practice interventions and evaluate the client and the best practice intervention and with the site supervisor. So we had decided we would go with the strengths perspective and work with this young person with the cognitive behavior therapy to make small goals, such as graduate high school. Okay, what do you need to be able to graduate high school? Do you need bus training? Because you're going to take the public bus, not the school bus. So how can we help you with the bus training? Do we need to meet at your house and go step by step riding the bus? So different pieces put together with the CBT to help her get those small steps accomplished. Graduating high school is the main focus right now, because if they don't graduate high school, getting a job anytime further on will be much more difficult. Having an absent family member, such as mom and dad, we want to fill in that role and encourage the person, kind of like be their cheerleader on the sideline. So that's what we're working on right now. 9 is competency to evaluate practice with individuals, groups, organizations. So develop the evaluation plan to monitor the client's progress. So monitoring this client's progress is, did they graduate school on time? Have they been able to take some assessment tests, such as the Myers-Briggs, Holland Code, to figure out what she wants to do when she graduates high school? Is there a plan for when we graduate high school? What employment opportunities do they have? What training opportunities is going to be presented to this person? My client base is very wide. It goes from almost a 200 mile stretch. That's not right. 2-hour stretch. From my home to the furthest point is a 2-hour stretch. I have clients with a wide range of disabilities, different family situations, from foster care, homeless, living with grandparents, living with the intact family. So all of my services have to be able to be flexible, because each person is going to need something different and have an individual plan that's going to work best for them. We evaluate each person individually to see where that one person is doing and what they need to do to continue to grow individually. Some people, their biggest growth might be just filling out an application and doing that every week, while others I have one person who is now going into management training, started their job earlier in the year and is management training now, and they're asking us for more services on how to be a manager, how to apply for that position. What do they need? What do their resources look like that we need to provide? Do we need to give them food, shelter, bus, clothing, or do they need training to become a supervisor? So everything is very wide ranged, very broad group of people that I work with. Thank you very much for your time, and have a great day.